Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live from Langley BC. I'm your host, Daniel, Langley resident, and today we have a very special guest. They're all very special. This is Greg. He is from Grenor Homes. He builds in the Langley area, so he has a lot of background information about what's going on with the city, about what type of homes are being built, what type of clientele he's building for. So if you're into hearing about all of that, stay tuned and we're going to get right into it. First of all, just so you know, people know the background of, how we met. Initially, we were introduced through multiple mutual friend connections, right? And originally, we were just sitting down to it was like a networking meeting, and this was like a year or two ago.
Over a year ago, sitting down over a beer at one of the local breweries.
Yeah, Trading Post. They have the best beers there. And at the time, we were trying to figure out how we could work together because, even though I've been in the business a bit, I wasn't in that luxury home space, which is essentially what you're building in, right? The top tier homes for clients that are asking you to build for them and hiring you to build. So I was always trying to figure out angles. We worked together. You referred me an architect at one point for potential clients who are building, and now we're here. Right? Yeah. And it worked out because now we're in a situation where we can discuss some of your experiences in Langley, in the industry that you're in within real estate. And now we can, share what our knowledge is combined to this audience. So it's really exciting. So before we get into, the business and what you do and how long you've been doing it, just so you're not strangers to people, who are you? What's your background and what do you do?
So I'm a home builder. So I'm fourth generation in my family as a home builder. So I've been doing this literally my whole life. My resume fits on my business card. It's something that I love to do. I love working with clients to help them understand the possibilities that they can have in their home, and then also helping them ultimately build their dream home. Sometimes it's renovating something that they've been in for a while or a new purchase, or knocking down and building from scratch a house that they've been planning for 10, 15, 20 years. So that's a lot of fun for working with people and getting a chance to have that connection beyond just building a building and putting it out for sale for someone. We get a chance to have that personal connection with the clients, and from design phase all the way through to them getting excited to seeing the structure up, to walking through and kids standing in their bedrooms and standing in the kitchen looking into the backyard where they're gonna watch their kids playing, or in some cases it's the grandkids, or the multi-generational homes where you've got the combination of everything. So that's a lot of fun, and that's something that we've been able to do a lot over the years, and we're grateful to be able to continue doing it.
That's awesome. So when you've been doing this type of work, have you always done it in Langley, or where have you worked?
So we've done projects throughout the Lower Mainland, but we came to Langley into Walnut Grove specifically back in, I think it was 2016. Moved out here ourselves, and it was an awesome just change of pace, change of scenery. Loved it, and then built and renovated a few properties for clients out there, and now we continue to have projects out here. Have one that will be breaking ground next week, custom build for a client, and then another one that's going to be in the planning phases for another one. So there's a lot of action happening out here. We're seeing a lot of people realizing the value of the land that Langley has. You have space. We have clients that we're building for them in Vancouver or North Vancouver where they don't have the size. They don't have the land where you can get a nice piece of property and have a backyard, and then also be close enough to other things around you. So yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, Langley's definitely developing and allowing for all these new amenities to come into place, as well as having some space for living quarters. Yeah. So when you say you moved here in 2016, were you living here or did you just start building in Langley?
So we actually lived here. We moved out here and lived out here and built out here. So it was a full everything. We also moved our office right now is in Port Cal, so kind of Langley Surrey border. It used to be in Burnaby, but we moved it out here because we were living out here. So it was a lot more convenient. So it kind of took everything from, in previous we were building a lot in Burnaby, lived in Burnaby, then came out to Langley, just everything. The family, office, building projects out here. So it was great, kind of brought everything out this way.
And why did you come out here from Burnaby of all places? Burnaby's a nice area.
Burnaby's nice. Honestly, we had an opportunity to purchase a house there where we had some space. We had a little bit more area to live in with a growing family, and then we also saw the potential of the areas, and then we saw the potential of the projects where there's Walnut Grove specifically is where we started. There's a lot of beautiful homes there, a lot of homes that are well taken care of, they're well built, and now it's time to update them. So we were seeing, our clientele out that way where that's what they want to see. And then we had some new builds. We actually won a Georgie Award in 2020 for one of our builds
Glad you brought that up. Yeah.
close to Redwoods over in 217A.
Nice.
So yeah, it was great. We had some good success with projects that we built some beautiful things that we just didn't have the space to build in Burnaby. So it was nice to take the quality builds that we were doing in Burnaby and surrounding areas out to an area where we could also put in that pool in the backyard and still have a backyard, where in some of the other areas you can put in a hot tub and have like maybe a little bit of a backyard. So it's a different way of living. It's a different opportunity, and it was nice.
So like coming to Langley to build all these, were you bringing your clients with you then from Burnaby, or were you finding new clients to build for
Found
in Langley?
new clients out this way. Certainly having people, actually we have clients right now that we're going to be building for. They're from Vancouver coming out to Langley because of the space. So we're seeing a lot more people coming out this way to build. Another client, they're from, actually interestingly enough, they're from Burnaby coming out. They just bought a piece of land to build something. So we're getting a lot of people coming from the other side of the river out here because they realize there's a lot of really good opportunities. There's a lot of beautiful homes already here. So you can have a piece of land, build a house on it, or in some cases purchasing an existing house and doing a renovation to it, because there's a lot of well-built homes out here already. So we're seeing a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've seen a ton of really nice renovations.
Yep.
And there's very common renovations that you see often because of the style of home. So that being said, what type of home do you find is the easiest to renovate, or comes out the nicest? It's the nicest transformation. At what price range? Probably like the lower mid price range type of renovation. Have you seen any specific style of home that you could do that?
Yeah,
with?
I would say there were a lot of houses built in the 80s to early 90s that we have your standard closed off kitchen that's closed from the living and dining room area. We're taking those walls down, opening the space up, because people are realizing the value of having that flexible space. So being in the kitchen is now something where you want to be in the kitchen, but also be a part of your living room area, be a part of the dining room area. Those are your super common renovations we're seeing right now, opening up main floors, because we used to close everything off. Now it's adding so much more light, so much more brightness. People are understanding the value of natural light in all the spaces and the benefit of adding recessed lighting throughout all the spaces. That's really beneficial, and that's something that I think the thing that's driving the cost a lot is the finishes. The level, the scope is only taking it to a certain point. We're seeing now people are getting more and more specific. Renovations in part are costing more because we're also seeing a lot more detail. The projects that we're building now for a client on the renovation side are a lot more detailed than they were 5 or 10 years ago, because people are getting more specific. They're working with the interior designer and understanding exactly what do they want. Even your cabinet packages are getting more detailed. The countertops that we're seeing put in are more specific. All the little things are at the end being a more thorough, better project. Does cost more to do that, but it does suit the client a lot more. So it's, for us, we like it when the clients can be specific, get exactly what they want, and make it their own throughout the home. So I would say your standard main floor, usually you're in the 100,000 and above range to do it, because you're oftentimes doing your floors as well. You're doing cabinetry, you're doing countertops, oftentimes you're changing something in one of the washrooms. And then also once you're taking down walls, oftentimes we're working with the ceiling and putting in new lights throughout. There's certainly ways to value engineer it and do it in more specific ways. But usually that's something where it's your opportunity once you've opened it up to do that big change. We're seeing your standard open main floor with everything well done, kind of 200 and above. To actually get into those areas. But again, it comes down to finishes. So it's a matter of working with your contractor from the beginning and your designer and being honest with the cost. I think that's the biggest thing, is people are like, well, what does it cost to renovate? Same as what does it cost per square foot? I hate when that question comes up, because it's, well, you can look at 2 or 3 different places and they're very different. And especially on the custom side, it's a matter of what do you want in your home? Like, where do you find value? If you only have $50,000 to spend, that's fine. We'll show you what you can do for $50,000. We'll show you what you can do for $500,000. But having that honest conversation, it should be something where, tell me what you want to do, tell me how much you have to spend, and our role is to show you what's possible and to manage it from there. That's really the goal, and that's where we're seeing successful projects coming from all that, because we can actually be specific and show them, okay, here's material option A, and B, which one do you like? How does that relate into your budget? Is there something we have to do in phase 1 and phase 2 and maybe even phase 3? That's common too. As great as it is to say, let's just spend $1 million, renovate your whole place all at once, do absolutely everything, you go move away and come back. Sometimes that's not realistic. And it's meeting people where they are and saying, okay, phase 1, you want to change this. Phase 2, we're going to do this. How do we plan it out so that we can be as successful throughout from a budget, and overall at the end you look back in whether it's 5 or 10 years, whatever your plan is, and you're happy with the outcome. But planning it all as if you're doing it all at once, sitting down, going over that wish list and that needs list, which is a really fun thing for a lot of people to do. If you haven't done it with your family, just go through and make that dream board of your home. What would you love to make it? What would the perfect space be? Is it that home? Maybe it's not that home. Maybe they need to come talk to you, not me, first, and say, you know what, this is what we're looking for. This is our ultimate dream list of we want, an area for the kids to be able to run around. Our place here doesn't really have it. How can we find something that does? But putting it out there so that they know you're planning out the next few years of your life. I love to work with clients like that, where it's helping them understand what could it cost, what are the possibilities, and then if they do end up going to try and purchase something, taking their contractor with them when they're looking at the properties is extremely valuable, because a lot of people will walk in and go, oh, it'd be great if we could maybe do this, but is it realistic? Is it feasible? Does it suit your budget? There's certain homes, that, as you touched on, which ones are easier to renovate. There's certain ones that it's really easy. It's not structural walls we're taking down. There's other ones where it's going to be some major changes. Clients don't always know what that is, and sometimes real estate agents don't know as well.
Even then, they probably aren't qualified to really say.
You're better off to stay out of that and just say, hey, you know what? Let me bring somebody in who can do it. And then even for us, we have the consulting engineers that if we need to bring somebody in to take a look at it, we want to do that to help better educate and better arm the client to understand they're investing a lot of money. It's their biggest purchase, usually, is their home. Have all of the answers, have all the possibilities. And even if you're not going to renovate it now, or if we're not planning to knock it down and build something, plan out for what you are. Plan out for what you would love to do, and then see how you can work it back. It's a way better process, and then it's exciting too, because it is a big life change.
Oh yeah, huge. And something I wanted to touch on before we move on is when you're talking about all the renovations and like the price points of all these renovations, like something you look at when you look at all these like HGTV shows, and they talk about like imported this, imported that, right? And they're higher price point renovations because they're in cities like New York and places like that, or Vancouver, right? Burnaby probably had some of those similar renovation styles where they'd go above and beyond. But then if you look at Langley, from my perspective, right, when you're looking at the average renovation here, a lot of people weren't too, comfortable spending a ton on renovations, because I think the price point of homes wasn't there yet.
Right.
And now we're starting to see where the peak, we got up to close to like $2 million for some homes in Langley, right? And so now I think people are starting to realize they can put a little bit more money into the home because they've seen the top potential, and it'll probably, by the time they're done and the market picks back up, right, maybe 3 years from now, and we get back up to that ceiling, that renovation is also going to pay off down the road, right? So
absolutely. Well, and I think a big key too is the type of renovations you're doing. When we're seeing something that's well thought out and well designed, there's a market for that. When somebody comes in to take a look at your home and somebody else's home, if your design just makes sense and they walk around and they can feel themselves at home there, and it's not just, well, we went in and put in expensive floors, we put in expensive this, expensive that. In some markets, that's great, and some people will want that, but other people want to walk in and feel like this just feels at home. Yeah. It makes sense where the light switches are. It makes sense where the sitting area is, where the windows are, where all of these different things, and that doesn't have a huge price tag on it. That's just working with somebody who has a process throughout and can show you, okay, here's some questions to ask. Like, how do you live? How does that work? And another big factor in a renovation too is involving your local realtor as well. Because asking them, hey, Daniel, what does my area have? What should I have in my area? What are buyers in my area looking for? That's your opportunity to make your house something that there's a detail sheet that you look at and you go, this is easy to sell. Like, this is great, because you know what clients are looking for in that area. So it's good for the clients to consider that, not just saying, well, I'm not ready to sell. I don't really care. Well, that's great. You're not ready to sell now, but maybe in 5 years you are. Well, you can say, we're getting a lot in this area. It seems like this area is turning into, a really family area, or kind of that executive area where it's people moving in without kids. That's a very different renovation, very different materials that we're using. Somebody who has young kids is looking for a very different set of materials in their home than somebody who's buying this. They've just retired. They want to relax, have just a nice, open, clean space. They want certain things, because now it's their opportunity to do it. We have clients that are everywhere from they've got young kids and we're looking at, okay, durability of finishes, to we have clients saying, I want to win awards with my home. Like, that's what they want. Very different clients, very different project, all on the renovation side, not even on the build side. So it is really specific, and it's about working with somebody that you can trust and have those conversations, because you're building that relationship, same as you would with your client throughout the buying or selling process. You really have to get down to that to understand, okay, where's their value? What do I want to do? And understanding, okay, if I choose this, Does it have a shorter lifespan? Is a different alternate going to be more expensive, but maybe it lasts longer? So where does that work? And I feel like sometimes people miss that little bit when they look at the cost. If you're strictly driven by cost, it's challenging to be really successful because you're investing in your home. You look at the real estate market over the last 10 years, 20 years, however long you want to look at it. If you're investing wisely into your property, you're going to get a good return on it. It's not dollar in, dollar out, but it's a matter of also, do you want to have a quicker sale or do you want to have a top dollar sale or what's your strategy? So if we're designing and constructing something that meets a certain list that can come from someone like yourself that can help in the area, then it's good because then the clients can know, you know what, at the end of the day, if we need an exit strategy, we decide we want to move, we know we can sell it, we know we can sell it quickly instead of just having your common standard, we put in simple, cheap things because we wanted to get it done. Really understanding where there's what's value, what's over and above to make it personal, and what's going under and not doing your house justice.
Yeah. There's definitely renovations that stand out in this area.
Yep.
As why did you do that? When you go over and above on a countertop, necessarily on the style, depends on the style of the home.
Yeah.
But I don't see a ton of super expensive imported countertops around here. It's more so flooring. You have nice backsplash. You have nice cabinets. Right. So there's definitely those key renovations that stand out the most. Is there a specific renovation that you see very often? Because I know you were saying you have a range of clients, but is there a specific one that stands
Kitchen's
out?
the big one.
Yeah.
Kitchen and the main floor because everybody realizes oftentimes the countertops and the cabinets that were put in, especially if your house is older or even if you're purchasing something multifamily, sometimes the layout is just a generic layout. It doesn't suit. Maybe you love to cook. Maybe you hate to cook. What's your day-to-day like? Understanding those different materials. That's a huge one. Kitchen's the big one. Kitchens, master bathrooms, but kitchens and main floor is definitely a huge one because you're using it every day. When you're having friends and family come over, they're using it. So there's good value in it. And it's also something that helps the saleability of your house as well. But I would say the number one is kitchens, main floor, opening up either part of the wall if there's things covering it, closing it off, or
any specific material though that gets. I might shoot myself in the foot with that countertop comment. Is it countertops?
Oftentimes, if you're changing your countertops, usually you're changing your cabinets. It's not like some people look and go, oh, maybe if we just change those, that's your opportunity to change your cabinets
for sure.
in an easy way. That's your chance to change that. So certain things kind of trigger other things. One of the things touching on the countertops is that's where it's your personal touch. Some people want there's certain brands of quartz that look like they're marble, and then there's marble. What are you looking for? Do you want to walk in and say to your friends, look at this specific slab of marble that I have, and you'll appreciate it, and they will? Or, there's a quartz alternative that looks fantastic, that's going to wear a little different. It's a little more resistant to things like stains, a little bit more wear and tear. It still looks awesome. What's the focus of your space? That's a big key too, because it's the personal side. And people understanding, if I spend that extra percentage to get that material, it's because I want it. It's because I love it. Why do you buy the car that you buy? Some people are like, well, I have this car because I need to get from A to B. Some people are like, I got this specific car because I like all these different things about it. They understand that it's not an investment in anything. It's because they want. There's still that happiness element
take a loss
in anything that we do, right? And that's tying it in of understanding, what do you want that's going to make you love it, and that's where you get the wish list and needs list throughout a project of, what are the things that you wish we could put in the project? What do things need to be in the project? And then what's the budget? And then when we work with the budget with that list, we look through the needs list first and try and fit in as many wish list items as we can that the budget's going to allow. Because then you're understanding you're getting as much as you can, but we're ticking all the boxes along the way. So you're happy. At the end of the day, there's good value in it. And if you can get that awesome countertop, when we renovate your house, we'll put in as great of a countertop as possible. And then maybe you'll be like, I understand. I realize this is my new thing. But no, I think the big key is understanding where there's value. Where there's value, and also what does your area support? What are people looking for in your area? How do you put it out there? But good intentional design is a big one. Something that just makes sense because certain materials are easy to change for the next buyer that comes down the road. But there's other things that nobody's ever going to change. That's your opportunity to do it.
Yeah, that's true. What about the exterior? Any specific exterior? Because when you said also what's popular around here, I instantly thought about like the farmhouse.
Yeah,
look.
Modern farmhouse is huge. Everybody going farmhouse, kind of that aesthetic now. It's great. There's certain things that are kind of easy easy additions to it. And then again, having said that, we're also looking at energy efficiency right now. That's something that was not really a topic 10 years ago. Energy efficiency now is something that's big, where when we're doing that exterior renovation, it's your opportunity to look at your exterior insulation, for example. A lot of all of our new builds now, we're putting insulation on the outside of the house as well as in between the studs, which is getting us a way higher insulation value, which is cooler in the summer, you're warmer in the winter, a little bit quieter as well, depending on where your house is. Those are opportunities to look at what can you do. A lot of the houses that have like cedar siding, for example, one of your big costs that you're having year over year is your maintenance, where you're either if you're not maintaining it, it's deteriorating, or
huge.
if you're always maintaining it, you have those little costs that are creeping up on you. People putting in a lot of the hardy products, so the fibrous cement products are really good. They're kind of forever
That's
products.
just the modern look where it's like full
so you
panels.
can go panels. You can also go the siding. You can go the board and batten option, which we're seeing a lot in the farmhouse look, is the vertical, the board and batten look, which you can do. The benefit of something like that is you can do that. It's pretty reasonably priced compared to some of the other materials we can use. Certainly going stucco or stone is going to be on the higher price point, but redoing something like the outside of your house also gives you a chance to change windows. So you're changing windows, which from an energy standpoint is great, because if you have older windows from the 80s or 90s, they're not as well performing. Maybe they don't open the way that you want, or the direction that you want, or things like that. Those are some things that we're seeing in projects as well, is whatever area we're renovating in a house, we're changing those windows. Sometimes we're changing all of them. There's the window companies, they can come in and change them with very little disruption on the inside. And then, of course, we can change window sizes. There's a few different things. But that's when your scope starts to go a little bit bigger. And that's on the pre-planning of what do you really want to do? What's your goal? What are you after? And then looking at some of the rebate programs that we have now for changing your heating systems, upgrading, adding air conditioning. I'm pretty sure for you looking at clients in the summertime, if a house has air conditioning, people also just want to hang around and look at your house a little bit longer. At the end of the day, instead of if it's 30 degrees in your house, they really don't want to come inside and take a look.
I've been doing open houses in the heat wave that were new homes, but they didn't install the AC because they didn't need it. And then heat wave comes along. Oh, we need it and we can't find it. And well, we're trying to sell your home at this time. And now people are coming through like, why is it so hot in here? This is a new home. Is there AC? Oh, it's roughed in, but where is it? So it became an expensive, cost afterwards because they were so rushed to get it too. But yeah, definitely AC is huge, and townhomes too, right? Obviously, I don't know. You're probably not doing too many renovations in townhomes, but
we are actually.
Really?
It depends on when they're built. In some cases, we're renovating everything from brand new townhouses. Somebody's moving in and kind of doing some smaller updates or adjustments and things, all the way to some ones that are built in the 90s that old style. Changing it up completely, and in some cases adding, depending on what strata will allow, adding some air conditioning options for them. Obviously, it's different in a townhouse than it is in a single-family detached, but there's options for everything, and we are seeing people really customize their space and understanding the value of adding really specific things to them, whether it's adding a towel warmer to your bathroom and some built-ins in certain areas that maybe the builder or the developer didn't put in, because that's really personal. But those are some things that people are putting in after to make it their space. They're going to live here for a while, and it's also valuable for the next person to come too.
Yeah, it's funny because before, like all the renovations you're talking about in a townhouse, I would only see renovations like that in like Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, Burnaby. I never sold in Vancouver, but just like in the in-between, older townhomes, not even that old, maybe in the 90s builds. Like they had these crazy renovations. And I'm like, what? How are they even allowed to do this? We've never tried this in Langley yet. So now the older townhomes, because of the heat wave, everyone's pushing to get AC in there. What sucks is some of these homes don't have forced air heating, so they have the baseboards, and now they're having to basically put in new venting. So it becomes a huge expense. I have some clients that actually did do the forced air on a they did the forced air on a baseboard heating home, and the amount of like ducting that they had to put in and find a place to put it through to the unit, and all the regulations that obviously the complex, the strata doesn't allow. Like we don't want you to do exterior pipes, even though it would be the cheapest option, but obviously it would definitely take a toll on the appearance from the outside. So they had to do everything through the interior and put new ducting in. So it's just crazy. But I mean, townhomes, are the price point that they're at now, people are going to renovate them, right?
Well, it's also the low-hanging fruit of if you're purchasing a property that has that renovation potential, that's value for the purchaser too, right? Because you're taking those opportunities where I can make this so much better. I can, adjust this. I can make this something that you're going to love living in it. But then also too, you have to think you're going to be selling it to a different version of yourself. Ultimately, what would you be willing to pay for that townhouse if it was already renovated to all of those specs, whether it had the air conditioning in there or if it had some other adjustments done to it? So there is good value because there is a market for people in those areas that they want a townhouse. They don't want to have to maintain their backyard. They don't want to have to do all that. They want to be in the price point of the townhouse, and they do want nicer finishes. So we are seeing people come and spend money there, and it's money well invested. Again, when you do it right, when you're following a specific plan and understanding, not just throwing money at it, going, okay, what's an expensive material? Great, let's put it in here. It's understanding what are the materials you have available to you, what's something that you're going to like, what's something that is going to be a good addition to your property, and you're investing in something that's already a good investment, which is real estate in Greater Vancouver is awesome. It's a great investment vehicle, but it's making those smart choices, buying something that if you want to buy somebody's already renovated project, great. If that suits you, but keep in mind you're not getting a chance to direct the money in these certain areas, because when we're going through with a client and understanding what their budget is, there's certain areas that we can cut back on, and there's certain areas that we can improve on. You're not getting to make those decisions if somebody else did the renovation. So sometimes there's a little bit missed there, but sometimes if people just want to move in turnkey, bring your moving truck and move in, that's great.
Yeah, that's one of the things. One of the biggest questions I get when I'm trying to discuss with a client who's selling and they're thinking about doing renovations or not renovations before they sell, right? Yeah. There's certain things that they can't just go spend a ton of money on because if they're specifically renovating to sell, sometimes they don't see it at all. If not, it creates this negative stigma about their home just because they think it's good, they think it's nice, right? They're renovating for themselves even though they're leaving, right? It's one of those situations where you have to have somebody who can
and we're seeing that a lot now. And one of the things actually that specifically we've started working with the interior designer, that what she'll do is do elevations and then materials for those projects, having the client save that money. Don't put in that just quick fix. Showing the clients, the potential buyers, what it could look like.
Okay.
So, using the example of the 90s with the closed-off kitchen, the elevation, which is for people that don't know what an elevation is, it's basically like the picture of you if you're standing there looking at it, of what it would look like with the walls down and what the new kitchen could look like, and some materials that go with that. Having that available for the realtor to then sell like a pre-sale. You're selling the idea of what could be there. So somebody walks in and sees, okay, here's what it is now, but here's what this space could be. Here's the value in that somebody can come in and make it their own. And then instead of the seller putting in, whether it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to, fix up some paint, maybe they do some floors, maybe they paint some cabinets, do any of those things, where we rip that out. The amount of times that we come through when someone's either just purchased or within the year, they're like, okay, we want to take this out. And that's what we're seeing, is we're seeing that money that you put in thinking, oh, I'm going to make my place great, they're going to love it. That's one of the first things to go, because either they don't like the color, that's not what it is. And if you have that house that is ready for that renovation, it doesn't fit to do some of those little touch-ups, because even if you put in a new floor, once we take down a wall, we have to patch the floor. So that's challenging. Oftentimes patching the floor, maybe we can't get the same material, or maybe it doesn't work. Maybe the clients don't like it. It doesn't work with the color scheme of what they're doing. So there are other tools to do it to help with that. So understanding that instead of just throwing money at your home and fixing all those things up and then realizing, okay, that's not value. The realtor walking in with the clients, or if a contractor like myself's coming through with the purchaser, we're not attaching value to that. We're not saying, wow, it's awesome that they added in this floor that we're going to tear out, because it's gone. So they don't look at it that way. We're looking at the potential. So having a home that you're going to be selling that has that potential, it's time to focus on that potential, which is helping the client spark their, wow, this could be amazing. Like this space could be awesome. If you don't want to do it yourself and live there, you want to sell it, great. But here's how you can help with the sale, by showing somebody what the potential is, so that they're not walking in and going, oh, but it's older, but something. It's wow, this could be amazing. It's a really good potential.
Yeah, you'll have to give me that. Is that your interior designers? Or?
No, it's an interior designer that we work with. It's Sunny Bay Design.
Okay.
So she actually used to be a realtor,
and
realized that it was a really good potential thing to do in the market, and it's something that's been helping.
Now there's a gap there for sure.
Well, it helps with. We don't design. We don't have in-house design. We work with different interior designers throughout the Lower Mainland. So because of that, if we come through, I can tell you what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
I can tell you what people have asked us to do, but I don't have an eye for design. So
Right.
connecting somebody that does that. So what she'll do is come and be able to do the elevation of what that could be, showing you what it could look like, what the opportunities are, so that then when you're selling your home, somebody comes in and they can see, here's what it is, and they can fall in love with the potential of what it is. They're not looking at it as it is now, and it's saving you that little bit of money where you're trying to get out. You're looking at how much money can you put together for your next down payment for your new place that you can then do there. It's nice to keep that little bit of money and use it for there. So it helps when they're
Everyone's going to come in and look at the place,
Yeah.
even if it's renovated, and say, what am I going to spend here? Like
Yeah.
immediately, especially in this market, because they're looking for reasons to, write a lower offer. So
Yeah.
in this case, they're going to start racking up all the changes. And even if you just renovated the floors or the paint, they'll be like, I don't like that paint. So
Yeah.
here's another $3-4 grand in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where when somebody does work with a realtor that has a contractor that they can recommend, or the client has their own contractor, those are things that we point out is what we have to do to bring the space up to what the new person wants. And those are areas that they look at it as a cost. So naturally they're adding it to the sale price. So the listing, they're going, okay, the house is listed for this. If we need to do this, this, and this, really their cost is here. So it's helpful to do it just it's a different way of thinking. We found it to be helpful and successful because there are a lot of homes in that kind of sweet spot for renovation.
And then, so with some of these homes at these price ranges now, they have pretty crazy, unaffordable prices to some, right? And something I noticed is the homes that ended up getting to the highest point, even though they were smaller lots, they tended to have some sort of additional living quarters,
Yeah.
right? And so we're seeing a lot of that. Have you seen any of that recently in Langley with, extra renovations to put in new suites or renovate?
Multi-generational living is huge because we're seeing a lot of cases where, mom and dad or grandparents, they're the ones that they've owned property for years. So they saw a lot of the big uplift where maybe the younger generation that wasn't in the market, they didn't get that. So they're looking for a place to live, understanding that there's value in finding a space that you can create something, whether it's adding a basement suite or on the new build side, a couple of the new builds we have where it's clients that are building a home that works for two families together, where you're not putting somebody just in the basement. It's building something where there's a ground level suite on a certain area of the house, or some of the lots that you can have something above the garage area, or even understanding how you can have the space designed to build that in. If you're putting in some sort of an income suite, it's easier, as you would know when you're trying to get a client qualified for financing. If you have income potential, it's great. So we're looking at that for people putting in, even roughing in for suites. But certainly something we're seeing a lot more now because of the affordability. It makes more sense for people to go and two families together, or two generations, I should say, and do that. So that's a huge thing that's happening now.
Yeah, I've seen both of those in Langley. I've seen both, living space above the garage. So even though it's kind of like a coach home, but it's still attached to the house. So they have, a cheater door where they can access their own space through a separate entrance.
Yep.
Or if it is family, there's literally a door that opens up into the main house,
Yep.
right? So if they rent it, they can seal that off.
Yeah.
But if there's family living there too, right, two generations, they could just come across, hang out with the parents, come and then go back to their own space.
Yeah.
Also, the above ground side suite, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
Those are crazy because I don't even know. I recently looked at a place in Brookswood where it was so well hidden that you didn't even know there was a suite there from the outside. And from the inside, we were like, where's the suite? Like there's no entrance directly to it. You had to go walk around. But it was so well designed and integrated into the home where it didn't look like the home was missing any square footage.
And that's the goal. That's how you can know that it's
crazy.
well done and well. It doesn't have to look like you're kind of saying you have a suite in your home. Sometimes gives a negative stigma of like, okay, so you have an area that maybe is a little cheaper built or isn't quite as well done, or it's got that that kind of tiny staircase down the side into the back into the basement. There's a lot of other alternate ways to do it, and we're seeing good value because a lot of times the people that are going into the suite is oftentimes the grandparents, where they're bringing a large sum of money into the space, so they don't necessarily want to be stuck in the basement. They want to be somewhere nice. They want to have natural light coming in instead of a couple small windows. So it's nice to build spaces that are like that, where that's what we're seeing the good opportunities. And again, it keeps tying back to if you're going to renovate a space to do that, there's ways to design it from the beginning and make it so that exactly like the property you described. At the end, someone's like, wow, this is just really well done. It's perfect. The amount of value that's added to that, whereas the neighbor's house may have a suite, but it just doesn't feel the same. There's a difference even from the point of view of what's it like from sound back and forth, because maybe you're going to sell your house to somebody else who doesn't want to have their family live with them. Maybe it's just a rental suite, or a lot of people are still working from home, or they've started businesses that they're working from home now, and that's also going to be their office. So keep in mind, you're adding value there as well for somebody if they don't have to go and get an office space. You're giving them something that's nice. They have the opportunity to do that from home. That's also good value. So there's a lot of things that we're seeing people do, and those are some of the changes we saw in the last few years of people doing actual really well done home renovations for home offices, instead of just like, oh, I need a room that I can plug my computer in. It's actually got some space to it. It's got, nice storage, because chances are they're going to be on video calls, or they're going to be doing that. So they're going to be showcasing their office. A lot of people are creating different video content, things like that at home, in their offices, in these different spaces. So again, everything is kind of leveling up on what we're doing, on the quality, and that's all a benefit. It's just making sure that it's right for your home and right for your area. So it's good to, again, consulting with people that this is literally what they do day to day.
Totally, yeah. Don't try to do it yourself or anything. Langley opportunities for renovations, like what area, renovations or new builds in your case, what would you say is the area with the most opportunity in Langley that you see? Obviously, your perspective, right? Not anything.
Yeah, mine's a little skewed, because mine's from the perspective of where we're seeing people calling us to. Like, as a realtor, you guys know the area. Like, you know Langley really well, and you would know houses on streets on different areas. Where for us, kind of the Walnut Grove area is somewhere that we're seeing there's good value. It's a sought after place. It was all developed around the same time. So all the houses are around the same finishes inside. If they're existing, they have similar things done to them. The lots are of a similar size. You're starting to see some of the larger ones get knocked down, if possible, split into two. And then there's some where people are investing good money into it because they're realizing this is a good space where when people are selling from, say, Vancouver or Burnaby or somewhere, they want to come out here, have a house that maybe they can get a little bit more home for their money, for example. Those are good potentials. That's where we've done a few projects there that have been really substantial projects, but also it's a really good look, a really good turnout. They have a really good starting point.
This is the second time Walnut Grove has been mentioned on this podcast. Similar reasons, because the way they explained it, previous guests explained it, was it's kind of like the country vibe with still the convenience of being central.
You're 5 minutes from everything, but you have that bit of quiet and just the larger trees. That's the difference. Even some of the areas in Brookswood where you have the trees, you have the space, that's a different feel. We can't get that in certain other areas. When you go to Vancouver, for example, there's certain areas that you have really big natural old trees in the higher end areas. In other areas where you're looking at like some of the Surrey areas where they're doing a lot of development, that's one of the big differences. People wonder why it feels different. It's all the natural trees that have been there for 100 years that you can't put those in when we build a new house. So they're putting in tiny little ones. That's where, Walnut Grove has that, or some parts of Brookswood have that, where it just changes the feel of the house and we start to design around it to keep that whenever possible. So it's people like that environment around their space as much as it is just in the space itself.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, when you compare both those areas, Walnut Grove, Brookswood still, it's a little bit further from the highway, the bigger lots, older homes. So there's that, but then there's Walnut Grove, new, like not as old homes, 1990s, right? Maybe 80s. They also are pushing back pretty big on developments, I think, because it's very rare that you find those homes that are being split and rebuilt on. I know there's some, I did visit some last year where they did build newer homes, smaller lots, beautiful homes, but they stuck out like crazy because in that area.
Well, they're older character homes, and it is different what people used to build before, but that's also why the renovation potential is so high. Is because there's not those newer houses going in. So a renovated house, sometimes we're not touching the exterior, so we can tie it in. Maybe we're just repainting it, where it just looks like, wow, that's a nicely done house, or maybe you're doing just your landscaping. A lot of good opportunities there. So something like Walnut Grove, buying into there, you have the opportunity. If you really want to knock it down, build something new. Oftentimes it's not worth it because the bones of the house is good enough that we can invest some money in it, make it something nice, and that's what we're seeing a lot of people doing.
One question about Walnut Grove, actually just thought about it. I was always understanding that there's some areas where you can't actually, even if the house is older, let's just say, because I know that's one of the factors. You can't knock it down and build a new one. Is that true
That
in some areas there?
It might be. I would have to check. Usually for us, that's when we would work with our architect and just do it like a site feasibility and check with the city. One of the things that we do run into sometimes is, depending on if there's been any building regulation changes, sometimes there's limits to what you can build on the new side that can be different than what your current house has, which is something to check into. So maybe you have to go a little bit smaller. Maybe that's not worth it. Those are some of the things that we certainly see. So again, it's a matter of doing the due diligence when you're looking in areas, understanding what it's zoned for, what you could do to it, what are your setbacks, are there any easements in the areas, that kind of stuff. Those are certain things that it's all part of the early process, and that's why, again, having your realtor as well as your contractor involved in the purchasing process. I want to build relationships with clients even if they're not ready for us to build or renovate something for them now. If I'm giving you good quality information now, we're building a relationship where one day when you need something, you'll call us. If it's 5 years, 10 years, or never, great. I've at least helped you with the process and given you realistic information. That's the biggest thing, is realistic. I'm not going to say, okay, well, this is what it's going to cost you, knowing that it's going to be higher just to get a project. At the end of the day, if you're satisfied with the project, you're happy with what we built, you're happy with what the cost was, that's great. That's a happy client out there. Same thing for yourself. You want happy clients out there because they talk about everything that you do. That's who you want. You don't want to just go and be like, yes, I'll take that business, knowing that it's not going to be a successful end. That's a relationship that went sideways. It's not worth everybody's time.
Yeah, no, totally. It's never fun working with clients that end up butting heads with, even if the potential upside for both of you, it could be like beneficial, profitable. At the end of the day, it's not worth it, right? It's not always about that. It's about, building relationships with and working with people who you like to work with, right? Rather than people that you just resort to because this is kind of how it's going to work out.
Well, and it's oftentimes what's driving your decision-making process. Is it a money-driven decision where you're looking for the cheapest solution, or are you looking for somebody to give you the best advice, or what are you trying to do? And that's a big thing, is understanding why clients want to do what they're doing. Is it you want to do something because you're trying to solve a problem? Are you trying to just throw the least amount of money at something? Or are you trying to understand what you can actually do, what the value is in it, and then kind of reverse engineer it and say, okay, what's my investment? Looking at all of this as an investment, what's the best use? If I'm putting in this much capital, what am I getting out of it? Some of it's going to be actual tangible dollars where your property value is going to be higher. Some of it's going to be your better enjoyment. That's what we've seen with people as well, as they're understanding that the type of space that you live in, there is that enjoyment factor, that your quality of life is better from it. And attaching that to a renovation project, not just, I spent this much, my property value went up, how much, the end, it's, I'm just happier day to day. We can have friends over. It's more fun, all those different things. That's what we want you to say after the project.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I don't want to push this too far, so we can't get into this amazing treat that I got here. So we'll touch on where people can find you in a second, but let's dig into this, right? So every episode I like to do a food review, in a sense, right? Food review, but not being super critical, just telling people a little bit about what we're eating, because at the end of the day, it's a local restaurant or local food source. In this case, local deli, a family-owned deli with it's like organic food, and then they make their own fresh food that you can buy there ready to be cooked. It's called Moreno's, so it's located in Willoughby. Super nice people that work there, and they make sandwiches every day. Like I was telling you before, they literally a pyramid of sandwiches by 11, and they're all gone by 1 p.m. So you actually get there. They get rid of most of them. So hold on, let me get into this. So it's nice. They actually gave me a list of things, because I told them to surprise me. Give me a list of things that is in these sandwiches so that I can explain it to you. Kind of cheating there. But so number one, we're going to try all of these, but I think they cut it into little pieces, so we don't have to have the whole thing. First one here is a chicken apple brie.
Oh, nice.
So I've never had this one. It sounds really good. I'll open it up, and maybe if you can start
unpacking.
Yeah, while I read them out.
Okay.
That one has mayo, chicken breast, caramelized onions, apple and brie cheese, as well as spinach. Next one is turkey, bacon, jalapeno. Already know this one's going to be unreal. Jalapeno bread, chipotle mayo, turkey, red onion, red pepper, habanero jack, and spinach. Love their spinach. And then we have a cubano. Okay, everyone I've talked to said this is the one to go for.
Okay.
So I have Black Forest ham, Moreno's own pulled pork. I think that's like their secret sauce. Swiss cheese pickle, mayo. Yeah, so these ones, I think you can find the Cubanos actually at Cubanos. Starbucks has them too, but definitely not like.
Well,
this
made
one.
fresh in there is different than made somewhere else and put on
that looks
on the
unreal.
rack.
Napkins? Oh, they never give me napkins. Anyways, so this might get messy. If you want to grab a piece of each of these.
Okay, sounds good. I'll start over here.
I also got Good Drink. Found them in there. I've been reaching out to these guys. They are local drink company out of Fort Langley.
Oh,
So
nice.
trying to get them on here, trying to get them to sponsor this podcast so we can always have good drinks while we eat. But if you're watching this, Good Drink, reach out because we really like your drinks. And we want to support local always. So which ones do you have? Okay.
So I went with this one because it had
Thank you.
jalapeno.
Thank you so much. So this is a jalapeno bread one.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. So that's bacon in there? No, that's turkey. Chipotle mayo, turkey, red onion, red pepper, habanero jack. It's not too spicy,
No.
but the meat is thick.
Yeah.
The meat's like 2-3 layers.
Should have made you blindfold yourself and guess all the ingredients. See how good of a foodie you are.
That's the thing. I'm not really. I just like eating. They also missed that they have prosciutto ham in here. That's definitely prosciutto. That's not turkey. So they lied. Because there's the turkey in here. There's a prosciutto.
A little extra surprise just for you, maybe?
I mean,
Being
like-
such a good client?
Prosciutto is my favorite. We've talked about it many times on here before. Okay, so let's move on. You can finish that one. I'm a slow eater.
Well, you're doing all the talking. I'm
Yeah.
just doing the eating. This
There you go.
is great.
So I always end up having a bite or two. The guest always finishes everything we've eaten, because I'm talking the whole time. And then we have, so the next one is, so that one was good. Like the meat's super thick, has a prosciutto in there, pretty tender, moist. Like that one was on a ciabatta bun. Yeah. Oh, that's ciabatta. Yeah. The next one is the chicken apple brie. So this is pretty much if you're having like a wine and cheese night, brie with jam in there. This is probably say similar to that, like apple and brie. I could see that. I'm not a fan of the brie ever, but this is good.
Especially with your favorite good drink.
With the good drink, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the apple, I was hoping there was a lot more apple in there because I really needed that sweetness. But other than that, really good. A lot more, the chicken breast in this, there's a lot. So that's good. Good source of protein in there. So you're not just eating vegetables and bread. I'd rather eat just chicken straight. That's just me. Carnivore diet.
So your next review is just going to be a deli then?
Yeah, well, we had a, I was trying to get some raw liver for one of our past guests.
Oh, yeah?
Because they're like, the workout 7 days a week,
Yeah.
wake up at 7, work up twice a day. I'm exaggerating, but they live in extremes, right? And they listen to like the Joe Rogans, David Goggins, and then there's this Liver King who eats raw liver. I don't know if you heard of him.
Yeah.
So it would have been awesome to get them to eat that, but
Would you have done it too?
I would have eaten it, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm trying to try some new things here. I didn't even tell them what to get here for this one. I said, pick whatever, I'll eat it. But that, apparently liver is not that great for you raw. So, like, there's very high risks.
Okay.
And I definitely didn't want to take that risk. So, yeah, we ended up eating some really good, some 2-bite roll. What are the rolls of lobster? It's good. So this one is the,
Covered it up.
oh, there it is. I'm going to guess.
Cubano.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that one. Okay, Cubano with pulled pork. So I'm assuming that's like a secret recipe. Lots of meat on this one. The most meat, I would say. Has the pickle in there. That's always good to have. And drenched in sauce. That's my favorite.
Mine too. Clear winner.
Hands down. Hands down. So now I know why I hear it every time. You literally... It's like a ribs, like the pulled pork. The way it's cooked, it's like very flaky. It's like you're eating it off a bone for the ribs. The sauce is perfect, right? There's a lot of sauce on there, so it's not super dry. That was amazing. That was my favorite one.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'm definitely gonna order that next time I go there only. Because I don't know if I could have 3 sandwiches every time.
That'd be a lot.
Yeah.
You'd have to do the working out twice a day, getting up early.
Yeah, exactly. Have you gone to any of these like restaurants like this around here?
I haven't been. No, I have not been to this one before. I have to check it out and get exactly that, the Cubano sandwich. That was fantastic.
Do you go eat anywhere around here often?
You know what? Honestly, I don't spend a whole lot of time. Usually, it's driving from point A to point B because thankfully we're really busy. So don't eat out a whole heck of a lot, especially with we've got 5 kids.
Oh,
so going to eat out, it's a little bit like bringing the circus with you, a little crazy. So sometimes it's easier to do that kind of stuff at home. We do sometimes, but
where do you usually go with 5 kids? Because I mean, I have one, and I'm already starting to be like,
one's the hardest number.
I don't even
One's
know.
the hardest number
Really?
because is it boy or girl?
Girl.
So who's gonna play with her when she gets old? Like, there's no sibling to
We're
play.
well, she's 9 months, so we're working on. I don't know how many, but we'll see. And how do you wait? So 5. Everyone I talk to says they have 2 because the world's made for a family of 4.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's something I'm trying to like. We're hoping to eventually get 3. Have 3.
Yep.
Right. So, like, how do you manage with 5?
So our 5th, he's only 6 weeks old. So we're still just into Thank you. So managing with 5, we're doing great so far. So 6 weeks, we're doing great. Honestly, it's fun. It's a little, sometimes it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. Gives me a reason why to do what I do and why to work as hard as I do.
Yeah.
But my wife does a lot. She's a big key for the reason why we're able to do that, taking care of all of them. It's fun though. They have somebody to play with. They always have buddies. Sometimes they fight. Sometimes they get along. But it's fun when we go on trips, go anywhere. Old Spaghetti Factory is somewhere that's always easy to go because it's loud.
I've heard about
they don't
that,
care
too.
if you're loud there. The kids get ice cream at the end. The nice part about that is the kids know it's part of it.
Yeah.
So it gives us something we can kind of like threaten to take away. Whereas if it's another restaurant, they don't know if they're going to get the ice cream at the end.
Yeah.
This way here, they know that it's potentially coming at the end. So if you don't stop doing that, you're not going to get your ice cream. Is a very real threat because they know it's coming to the table to the other kids. So part of parenting is like figuring out where you have, leverage. Like you would negotiate. I'm negotiating with all these different parties all the time. And you're going to realize that. Good luck with your daughter. So we have 4 boys and a girl. My daughter's the one that I struggle to say no to.
Oh, yeah.
The boys I have no problem.
Yeah.
My daughter, no. So you started off as it's challenging right now for you. I'm sure as she gets older, she's just super cute. Look up at you. Can I have this? Okay, how many do you want?
Yeah.
So
not there yet. Not
it'll
asking,
happen. It'll come.
I already know.
She's already taking mental stock of your weak points.
Anything I'm eating, she comes right up to me and she's like,
"Yeah, it's hers."
Ooh.
Yeah, so then you'll be able to do the food reviews with her soon. Have her in for food reviews in the high chair beside you.
Oh yeah.
And kid friendly version. If she doesn't like it, she'll just throw it at you.
Yeah.
If she does, she'll take yours. So there's like a good test. They're completely unbiased. She's not looking to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
Either she eats it all and loves it, or throws it right at dad.
There you go. That's actually just have her in the corner, just eating it or throwing it.
See what she does with it. She's either going to make some people really sad that she doesn't like it, or it's going to be funny nonetheless. You have to have a good conversation and clear face as she's tossing stuff at you. It'd be a whole nother level of anybody can do podcasts, but can you do a podcast with a young child tossing stuff at you?
That's funny.
Whole nother level.
Yeah, definitely have to try that. Well, thank you so much for jumping on here, Greg. I really appreciate it. Again, people, where can people find you? You have Instagram. I saw that.
Yeah, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can follow us at Grenor Homes on Instagram. We'll be showcasing some of the projects that we have coming up, going through there. Myself personally, Greg Bart's on LinkedIn. Otherwise, you can always give us a call, contact us through our website, anything like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe or wherever you're listening to this, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much. Cheers.